up, and welcome to the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. I'm your host, Kat Kozad, manifestation expert, money mindset and fulfillment coach, and multiple six-figure entrepreneur. Come sit with me while I spill the real tea on what it's like to practice using intentional manifestation, demystify all of the woo-woo and confusing bullshit that comes along with creating the life of your dreams, and give you a realistic view of what it's like to be on a personal, spiritual, and professional growth journey. The goal of this podcast is to support and guide you towards manifesting all of your dreams, shed light on the things that people are too scared to talk about, and encourage you to become the person who gets to have it all, be it all, and do it all. I am so happy you are here. Let's fucking do this thing. What's up, loves? Ooh, I have such a fun guest episode for you today, all about human design, which is something that I honestly have not known a lot about and have not done a ton of research on, but have always been super curious about, as I know that it can play a large role into the manifestation process, and have seen the work of so many incredible coaches out there that incorporate human design into how they approach limiting beliefs and inner work and manifestation and all of the different things that come along with this big old journey that we're on called life. But today I brought Janelle Turner onto the podcast, and Janelle is actually someone that I connected with at the very beginning of the pandemic. I was put into a group with all of these beautiful spiritual women, and the goal of that group was just to encourage each other and keep our spirits up while all of that chaos was going on, as I'm sure all of us can recall but don't really want to. But having this group of women was super, super powerful, and it was so nice to really start to build a community online for me, because I had just started my business and had not really had anybody that I could connect with about the different things that were going on in my life, with manifestation, with the business, with all of the different things. But Janelle was one of those people, and that was towards the beginning of her experimentation with human design and incorporating it into her life and starting to share her gifts and her wisdom with other people of their human design and how to implement it into their lives. And back then, Janelle read my chart for me, and I had no fucking clue what any of it meant, but it was still really cool nonetheless. And so what I have done today is I've brought her back onto the show to share all of her wisdoms that have expanded and developed so much around human design. And it's insane. It's so powerful to listen to her talk about human design and the passion that she has with it. You'll be able to hear inside of this episode. There is a lot of information on the roots and the origin of human design, as well as giving you an example of a design chart as we dive into my chart, which is super fun to listen to. And with all of that being said, Janelle is a human design guide that can help you find clarity, awareness, and compassion along your path. So if anybody is interested in connecting with Janelle, getting their chart read, understanding what human design is, and going deeper with it, going to the next level with it, please check out all of her links down below in the show notes. Those are all going to be super powerful. Literally, anybody in my life who is curious about human design, I send them Janelle's way, because she knows so much and she is so freaking passionate about this work. So any of you listening to the show, if you are curious about human design and taking it to the next level, check out Janelle, connect with Janelle, and make sure that you let her know that you came from the podcast. It's always so awesome for us as entrepreneurs to know where people are coming from and continue to build the community that we have. So without a further ado, we're going to get into this podcast episode, and I hope y'all enjoy. Yay. Welcome back to another episode of the No Bullshit Manifestation Show. Today we have Janelle on to talk with us about human design, which is so freaking exciting because I know so many of you are really interested in human design and either have like a very basic awareness around it or have no awareness around it. And I'm in that same boat. So it's going to be awesome to dive into all of that together. So Janelle, thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Hi, Kat. It's great to see you. Thanks for having me on. Well, human design. I know that's a little bit of a mystery for a lot of people. And I'm about in my 4th year of experimentation with human design. That's what it's called when you learn about it and then you use it in your real life. It's an experiment. And I came upon human design in a podcast, actually. It was The Balance Blonde, I think. And she had a woman named Jenna Zoe on, and she was talking about human design. And I was like, oh, fun. Let's put my birthday in and get my information, like a horoscope type feeling. I thought it would be fun. And then my chart popped up. And it's just a bunch of shapes and lines and colors and arrows and weird. And I was like, I don't know what this is. This is too much for me. And I put it away. And then I just kept wanting to look at it. I was more curious. I found more Instagram people to follow that were talking about human design. And I got really into it. And then a few months, like 4 or 5 months into my experiment, and I was super into it. I was ready to go. I realized that I had put my birth time in incorrectly. And for a human design chart, that's kind of a disaster. Your birth time is pretty important to the minute if you can get it. And I had put mine in 12 hours off AM instead of PM. And when I changed it, my chart was completely different. And everything I had been learning and loving about myself and getting all charged up about was not the same. And I freaked out and I got really upset and I started crying. And then I realized as I was crying that I was relieved because my chart before, the not correct chart, gave me a lot of energy that I thought I had to have and give and do and be. And I was like, all right, cool. This is what you're telling me. I'm here to have a lot of energy and do a lot of work. Great. But I didn't feel it. I was like, okay, this is what this thing is telling me. I'm going to try it out. But it didn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And then once I fixed my birth time and realized I was what's called a projector, it's an energy type, which I'm not here to do. I'm here to guide and see and be, but doing not so much. So I was relieved and very scared and also pissed off at myself for making such a silly mistake. But it really showed me that this is a real thing and this is really an important tool in my life, and it has completely changed my life. And I think that it showed me myself so authentically that I lost it for a little bit. And then I came back around, and I've been loving human design and talking about it with anybody who will listen for the past like 4 years now. So that's how I got into this thing.
I love that. I love that, like, your story of coming to and understanding your human design had that like turbulence in it, because I think that is like such a genuine perspective of like how most of us get into what it is that like we're doing and how we're led to these different places. And that ultimately, like, we still are guided and led back to what it is that is for us. So tell us, like, before finding human design, where were you at in your life? Like, what did life feel like for you? And how did finding human design and going on this experiment really change that for you?
That's a good question. I was trying too hard before, and I know that a lot of people think that or say that or whatever, but I was on another level of trying too hard, especially according to my design. And I was really getting on myself in a negative way for not being able to keep up, not having a great business idea so I can start my own business and get out of the restaurant, because I've always wanted to not wait tables. It's not fun. But I was always trying to find my thing. Like, what's my thing? Where do I fit? I was trying to like put myself into the puzzle of life and I wasn't fitting anywhere. And I was getting really on myself. Like, this is your fault. Like, you need to figure out something out so that you fit in with everybody else. And then human design came along. And when I signed up for my first mentorship program, one of the first things we talked about is something called the identity center. It is kind of what it sounds like. It's the identity center of your energy. It's where your direction and love and your sense of self comes from. And we were talking about it. And she goes, Janelle, you have an undefined identity center, so it's not colored in. She goes, you're not supposed to be any one thing. You're not supposed to do any one thing. There's no title for you. You're everywhere. You're a chameleon. It's okay. It's okay. And again, I just burst into tears. This whole process has been a lot of tears for me, but it's been great. And I was like, oh, and it felt like a huge weight had been lifted off of my shoulders, because I realized that I didn't need to find myself by being something or doing something or achieving things. I just needed to be myself and stop trying so hard. So that was the main thing that I learned. I got a lot of compassion for myself through that, and a lot of awareness of things. That's the main thing with human design. It's a lot of information, and they're like, oh, I have to change my whole life around to live according to my design. And really, you just have to look at your life. Like, when things happen, just look at it and go, oh, okay, this is how I reacted to this. Excellent. That's right on track. Or maybe next time I don't get down on myself so much because of this thing. So it's really helped me have a lot of compassion for myself. And the trust part, I'm still working on. I still have trust issues, but who doesn't?
Yeah, absolutely. I love all of that it's been this tool to like create more compassion in your life and help you understand yourself. Like you've been saying, in a way that before it's just like, why am I this way? Why are these things not working the way that kind of like society or our limiting beliefs tell us that they need to? So for somebody who is completely new to human design, what is like a very like broad level definition of human design?
Okay, I prepared myself for this one because it's hard to define human design, and I've always had trouble with it, but I've gotten a lot better because I've let go of the need for it to be a perfect, like, elevator pitch. So I'll start off with how human design came to be, which there was this guy named Ru Hu, and he was in advertising, publishing, media production. He loved the arts. He moved to Ibiza from Canada in 1983 and became a teacher. And in 1987, he had a mystical experience for 8 days and nights where he heard the voice. And the voice told him all about human design. And he got all of the information and he decided to share it. And he wrote a book called The Rave I Ching. That's the first book. I think he's written more. I know he's written more, but that's the first one. And it kind of shows how human design is connected to the I Ching, which is a Chinese divination tool. There's also parts of Kabbalah in human design, the chakra system, astrology is obviously in there. So it's a kind of a mesh of a bunch of different modalities. And it really is here to show you what you're here to do in this life, how you're here to spend your days, what your energy is best spent doing or not doing, which is usually the big one for people. And it really is just kind of a little bit of a glimpse on your path and a tool for you to use to continue to move forward with ease and love for yourself, which is the most important thing I've learned, and I didn't think it would be when it came to human design, was it's not like a cult or a religion or anything like that. It's a tool, and it's here for us to experiment with. And ultimately, it makes you love yourself, and you look at yourself and you feel special. I never thought there was anything special about me. In fact, I thought as a child to think that you were special was greedy, or I don't know what the right word is, but it wasn't good. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'm no one special. Like, I'm whatever. Like, don't pay attention to me. And now, because of human design, I know that I have a purpose here. I'm special. There's a reason for me. And that whole piece was a big deal. So for people who don't know what human design is, it really is about coming back to yourself and realizing that you're a big fucking deal.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I
had so much energy wash through my body, as you said, all of that, because it's just so powerful to know that like there are tools, there are different things out there like this that can help guide people back home to themselves. So what are the different design types and what are the overall like qualities or traits or paths or guidance that goes along with those different design types?
Mm-hmm. First of all, I want to mention too that before I found human design, I was very not woo, I guess would be a good way to put it. I didn't care about my horoscope or my astrology or numerology or any of those things. I thought it was not smart and I wanted to be logical and smart. And then human design has shown me that that's not the thing. And so for people who are listening who are like, oh, this sounds crazy, an 8-day, 8-night voice, like, whoa, yeah, that part does sound a little crazy, but what it has given me, I don't care. I don't care how he got it. He could have gotten it from a little bird who came and landed on his head. I don't care.
Totally.
I'm down to listen and to practice and experiment. So in human design, there are a lot of layers, but the beginning, the top, the most basic is your energy type. And there is debate in the human design community whether there are 4 energy types or 5. I like 5, so we're going to go with 5. You're either what's called a sacral being or a non-sacral being. So you have sacral energy or you don't have sacral energy consistently. We all have it sometimes. Some people have it consistently and some people don't. If you're a generator, like Kat, you have a sacral motor and you're here to work. But the caveat is what lights you up only. Be very selfish on what you do and what you spend your time doing. Have strong boundaries on where you're going to say no, and realize that the stuff that you think is silly or the stuff that you don't think is important, that you would love to spend your time doing, but you're like, well, that's not moving me forward in my career, or that's not making me seem like a good friend. Who cares? Do those things because it's important for you to be lit up because you give off energy for the rest of us and we feel it and we love it and we need it. So the manifesting generator is closely related to the generator in that they're here to do what they love as well and be lit up in that way. They're just a little more all over the place. They have a lot more going on. They can hold a lot of balls in the air. They're really good at multitasking and they can seem a little all over the place. They can be into one thing and then, over here and over here, but that's how they're supposed to operate. So sometimes manifesting generators play small because that feel too much when they're all over, but they're supposed to be big. They play big. Then we have the non-sacral types. Projector, that is me. I'm here to guide, to see, to be, but not to do consistently. Projectors are not great with 9 to 5 consistent jobs. It's just not a good thing. Neither are manifestors, which is the next type. They're here to initiate. They're the only type that's here to initiate without any outside guidance or waiting for certain things. They're here to just put things out into the world. They have really powerful energy, but they don't have a consistent motor like you. So they can get really frustrated because they're here to do and go, but they also need to rest and realize that their energy is not consistent. And then the most rare type that there is, 1% of the population, I think, are reflectors. And their charts are cool because when you look at them, none of the shapes are colored in. They're all open. So they're open to the universe. They take in a lot. But they have this special power. We call it a Teflon aura, which means that a lot of stuff just kind of bounces off of them, washes off of them. It doesn't really stick. And they're really neat energy. They're here to kind of be a barometer for the rest of us and show us how the world is going, how it's looking. So right now, reflectors might have a lot of stuff going on because we got a lot of stuff going on in the world, but they're uniquely equipped to handle it. And they're very like shamanistic. They're really cool. I love reflectors. They're super rare. So yeah, those are the 5 types. And we're all here to use our energy in a different way. And day to day, it can look different. And it's okay if you have a big to-do list and you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do any of those things today. I don't have it today. So yeah, that's where you start when you learn your human design is with your energy type.
I think that's super powerful to know and recognize, because I think what I see societally is like we give like a one size fits all approach to life
Totally.
to everybody, and it doesn't work. Like, I know you have shared with me, like from the projector standpoint of like, no, I'm not supposed to do, go all the time. Whereas like majority of the time I'm like, let's go, let's do it.
If you're in it,
makes a
and
ton
it lights
of sense.
you up, then you're going.
Absolutely. So something that I'm super curious about that I've heard a lot about is specifically when it comes to manifesting and manifesting our desires, that our manifestation path to get to that place is different for each of those energy types. So say for like a projector versus a generator, like how would the manifestation process look different for those two energy types?
Well, I would say for the generator, it would be a lot of yes or no. It's easy for the generator energy to respond to yes or no questions. So when a generator is finding out what lights them up in their life, and to me, that ultimately will bring about their best manifestations. It's like a yes or no list. Like, do I like this? No. Do I like this? Yes. And it can start off kind of vague and then get really specific. And it's about listening to how your body feels. It's not a mind thing. It's when a generator is a yes, they're a full body, dance around the room. Yes. And when they're a no, they're a ugh. Like I see generators when they have a no, like they'll deflect, like there's something coming at them. That's how a generator feels it and can learn to trust it and practices with this is yeses, woo, and no's, ah. Mm-hmm. And it seems obvious, but there are certain things in people's life that feel like they should be a yes because it's the responsible thing to do. I'll make the most money if I do this thing. I'll get the most exposure if I do this thing. But their body is saying, no. And they're overriding it and going, this is just a stomach ache, or I'm good. It's just and they go with the yes, and it's not the thing for them. So that's where the generator should really pay attention is it really a yes? Or is there something telling you to say yes? And it goes the other way. Is it a no, or are you scared? Are you afraid? And that's a different thing, because in human design, pushing through fears is a great thing, especially for generators. And it's just, fears are just kind of there to stop us in our tracks, but we just need to push through them. And that's where the yes or no thing can come in really handy for a generator. When it comes to manifesting, it really doesn't matter how you do it. If you have certain practices that help you manifest, or what people like to do, meditations, anything like that, that works for really any of the energy types. For projectors, the thing is called waiting for the invitation. That's our strategy. And it can seem very limiting, like, okay, I'm supposed to wait for life to come to me and I'm not supposed to do anything. But that's not how life works, Janelle. What's wrong with you? And I totally agree. As projectors, you're not here to sit around and wait for things to come to you. You're here to explore life. It's similar to the generator, but we don't have the body like, oh, yes or no. It's what we really get into and can't shut up about. Like for me, it's human design. For other people, it's things that they really want to learn a lot about and have a lot of knowledge, or they enjoy learning about this thing and then sharing about it, or having a class about this thing. Projectors are usually pretty good at sharing via teaching. So whatever you really want to teach someone about, that's usually something worth exploring as what we call a niche in projector language. Projectors are good with the niche. I've heard people talking about niching and not niching, and projectors are good with the niche just because we can get into one thing and just be like, yeah, this is my thing. And it can change and we can add on and it evolves. But when it clicks, a lot of times that becomes our thing. For me, it was human design. And the waiting for the invitation is more about not forcing things to happen, not getting on yourself saying, oh, okay, I have to post this many stories and I have to post here and I have to have this content here and every day and consistent, because if I don't, then it's not going to work. And that's how I've been told that it will work. And that's the only way it works. So that's what I have to do. And for us, it's not like that. If you are a content creator and you're a projector and there's a day where you just don't want to do it, you're not supposed to do it. You don't need to force yourself to put it out there, and you're not going to crash and burn because you took a day off or because your algorithm isn't correct or whatever the thing is. Projectors can get really into being perfectionists about things.
Yeah.
So I would say for the projector, it's more about waiting for things to come to you in an active way. And for generators, it's a real taste everything. Yes or no, yes or no. And you could have maybes. You don't always have to be yes or no on everything. There can be a maybe, which is more about you might need some time, because generators aren't always like, I got it, I'm going, yes or no. You still need time sometimes to think about things. It's okay. And that's when the maybe comes in.
Love it. Love it. So just for the sake of being inclusive to all of the energy types, how about for the manifestors and there was another one, the
manifesting generator. They're very similar to generators. It's yes or no, like figuring out what things you like. But I would give a little note for generators that sometimes you get bored, or sometimes you like something and then you don't. And it's okay to quit. It's okay to say, I'm done with that thing. I'm going to go this way. A lot of times people hear the word quit and they're like, oh no, I have to see everything to the very end. If you try something out and it's not for you, you don't have to hang on to it for 10 years. Like that just seems silly. So move on. For manifestors, they're unique. They are here to initiate. So their manifestation is very direct. It's like, I want to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing. And then they do the thing. They're here to initiate for all of us who aren't supposed to. They do the thing. They start it. They're the starters. They get the party started is how I describe them. And they can be very direct with their manifesting because they're in charge. So if I was a manifestor and I wanted something, I would say, hey, universe, I want this thing. Let's go. And then wait for it, do my stuff, and then get it. And then I have manifestor friends who are very much, that's how they describe stuff, is they wanted something and they're like, well, yeah, I want it. I got it. I went out and did this and I got it. And I'm on this thing. I'm doing the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I have manifestor friends that are like, well, yeah, I just like, I set the intention and it showed up. I'm like, good for fucking you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Right. They might have issues with consistency of energy, of doing energy, because they don't have sacral motors. So that can be frustrating for them. But interestingly enough, when we're around other people, we pick up a lot of their energy from their defined centers. So if a manifestor were to hang out with you, a generator, and do some work, they would pull some of your doing energy and probably get a little bit more done than they would have without you there. But then they would need to take a break, because you're like a drug. We can get really into you and like, give me all your energy. I can go all night. And then when we are out of your aura, we are done for, and we need to sleep for like 3 days. But it's the practice of how much can we borrow before we're burnt out.
Totally.
Reflectors, they're much more connected to the moon and the lunar cycle than any of the other types. So their strategy for making decisions is called waiting a lunar cycle. So when they need to make a big decision for reflectors, the best thing to do is wait a month, because as they're waiting, the moon goes into every gate that they have. And so they can feel the energy in every gate. There's 64 gates in human design. And that's what a reflector is here to do. They're here to sample the energy all day, every day, and see how everything is going. So this month of waiting gives them extreme clarity for their decision. And I say extreme because a month is a long time, and sometimes we can't wait that long. So this is for really big decisions for reflectors. If it's a little bit smaller, or if it's something that has a deadline, obviously, but for them, taking a long time to wait and sample how they feel in different people's energies, how they feel in different environments. That's a big thing for reflectors too, taking yourself and putting yourself in different physical environments and processing. And that can totally change how you might have felt about a decision on day 1 versus day 30 as a reflector.
Yeah.
So yeah, we all have different processes, but we get there.
Absolutely. I love hearing all of that because even just in my life with like my friends that I do know their design and like their energy types, I can see that in the way that they respond to me, the way that they respond to decisions and questions and what they are doing with their lives, their career paths, etc. So to give our listeners some sort of like example / view on that, I know you said that you have my chart, which I would love to like dive into and talk about to give some like understanding of all of this to them. So great. I'm going to let you take the lead on all of this and guide me through anything.
Okay, excellent. So this has been the part I've been waiting for, you guys. So I read for Kat, like I said, when I was a baby reader, like a long time ago when I very first started. And this time around, when I looked at your chart, immediately things popped out at me and I was like, oh, yep, this thing, this thing, this thing. So that's kind of what I'm going to go over. I'm not going to get too techie and wordy with the human design jargon. So if there's stuff that people are confused about or interested in learning about, come find me. We'll talk about it. So Kat is what we've already determined is a generator. And she's what's called the sacral generator, which is the yes or no thing I was talking about. Some other generators might have another hoop to jump through when it comes to making decisions. You're straight, yes or no, dance around, yes, I'm going to barf, no, basically. Your profile, which is kind of like a light on your path, and it's how your personality is perceived by other people and how you kind of show yourself to the world. You are here to reach a large audience. There are certain energy types or types of people that are here to reach small groups. You're here to reach a big group. You have a big message. You have a big voice. So a lot of people hear you. You are very attractive because people project onto you what they want, what they need in their life. They say, Kat can do it. And they put it on you. So you get a lot of people that say, hey, come do this for me. You'd be great at this. Oh, have you thought of doing this? You'd be amazing at this. Can you take this off my plate? I think you can. And you can get pulled in a lot of different directions. And it can feel really good because you're like, oh, wow, look at, they want me for all these things. But sometimes that's not you. They're putting things on you that are not you. And it's for you to discern and have boundaries regarding yourself and what you're willing to spend your energy on, what you're willing to spend your time on, what sounds fun for you. Even if someone says, hey, you should do this, this would be great for you, you might even want to do it. So it's a no. Even if they really are like, no, this is you. Or if they want to be in a relationship with you, friendship or otherwise, they might really be like, no, this would work. This is perfect. So don't get bamboozled by people. Not to say everyone's here to trick you, but there are going to be people who are really attracted to you. And it's a coping thing for them. Just look out for that. You like to have a lot of information about the things that interest you, and you would prefer to know a lot more before you speak about something, just because you want to have all the questions answered. If anyone has a question, you want to have the answer. You can get into rabbit holes of information when you really get on something because you just want to know a lot. And people come to you for advice and knowledge because they know this about you. They know that you collect knowledge and that you're good at knowing what's going on in the world, keeping current. I guess that would be the best way to say it. And so people will come to you because not only do you keep current, you are unbiased as you can be for a person. You're obviously going to have your own opinions about things. But when it comes to people coming to you for advice, you do your best to stick to the unbiased side if you can.
You're like literally taking a look inside of my brain, my DMs, my everything and explaining it. So just so the listeners know as well, everything Janelle is saying is like, whoa, yeah, accurate as fuck.
Cool. That was 3 words in my notes. So we'll continue. No, I only have a little bit for you because I knew I would get on a roll. So what's the one? Oh yeah. I wanted to talk about, you have a particular energy that's about accumulating and retaining wealth and resources. You're like a treasurer. So you have the energy to be good at this, to collect resources. Money is how I refer to this. Wealth and resources is how it was referred to in my notes, but you're good at accumulating it and then overseeing where it's going to go and retaining it, saving it up. Like all the money stuff, you're good at it. When it comes to you, you're good at knowing what to do, where to put it. And you're good at giving that advice to other people. This is another part of advice that Kat is here to give. And that has to do with finances and how to manage it, like where it should be. And this doesn't come from like school or like being a money management expert. This is just an energy that you have. So you don't have to try to do anything. It just is. You have the gate of the listener, which means you're a great listener. Everybody will come to you and tell you things. People will tell you more than you want to know. People will say, hey, I don't tell anybody this, but here you go. And then I have this gate as well. So you're a really good listener, and you're really good at knowing when you're listening to something that is a secret and you're not supposed to tell this thing, even if they don't tell you that. You're good at knowing when something is supposed to be kept and when something is supposed to be shared. So that's probably why people tell you things, is because they go, oh, this bitch will keep this in her vault and not tell anyone, even if I don't tell her to do that. So you're really a good friend in this way because you can be trustworthy with people's secrets and stuff. Mm-hmm. But this means a lot of people are going to come to you with their secrets and stuff. So just remember that, but you're equipped for it. You're equipped for the listen. Let's see. 2 more things. Oh, you have what's called the channel of enterprise. So this is about being a great communicator in a way that is enterprising for you. So you know who to talk to, who to meet, who to connect with to get the things that you want to get where you're going. You're good at showing people that you have value and that, look, if I do this thing for you, I will get this thing. Like it's an enterprising energy, but it's very genuine and from the heart. This energy actually comes from the heart center in your chart. That is why it's so successful and good for you, is because you're not like a weird swindler enterprising your way in here and here and here. You come from your heart space and it's very genuine. So when you're like, this would be great for me, it will also be great for the other person. Even if you don't plan it that way, it's a mutual beneficial type of situation for you. Yeah. And this moves you forward and gives you really good communication skills, knowing how to communicate with a lot of different people and meeting them where they're at the time that you're communicating with them. Mm-hmm. I love this energy. The last piece I want to talk about is another channel that you have. It's called the Freak to Genius channel, which can sound crazy.
One that I remember from the chart that you read for me like 3 years ago. I was like, I have something called the Freak to Genius.
It's the best name and it throws people off, but it's such a great energy. And what it is that there are times when you will have something just plop into your head, like an idea or an opinion or a thought, and sometimes it will plop in there wholly formed. And you're like, whoa, where did this all come from? Like a lot of information at once. And the energy that you have allows you to get it out. Because some people only have half of this energy and then it gets stuck in here and they have problems speaking it, voicing it. They can't get people to understand. That's as I'm trying to like spit it out. That's me. I only have half. That's why I'm like, blah, blah. But you have the ability to get these weird ideas all jumbly, maybe don't make sense, like what, and get them out of your mouth and have people understand what you're saying. And the reason it's called Freak to Genius is there are some people who are going to look at you and go, you're crazy. Like the things that you're doing, the things that you're saying, the stuff that you're trying in your life, that's crazy. That stuff is crazy. And there's going to be people that look at you and go, oh my God, she is a fucking genius. Like she's a genius, you guys. And those people are your people. And there's a lot of them because you're fifth line. So there's a lot of them. And it's just about letting go of the need to explain away how you know things or why this has come to you or is important to you. And just know that, nope, that's what it is. This is what it is. And I don't need to explain how I know or what it's about. Just, it's a trust. Just trust me. And usually your weird thoughts or ideas manifest themselves into something that's genius. That's truly like changes things for yourself or for another person in a way that they didn't expect. So that's just like a little bit, a little tiny bit that I saw when I first opened your chart. But
Yeah.
you have a lot of powerful energy for showing people how to do the things that they want to do because you want it. You have a defined heart. Defined heart is very, I want this thing, give me. And it sounds selfish. It sounds not nice, but it's awesome. It's the energy that you need. And you show other people that they can do this, that they want something, they can get it. And you show them that being a little bit selfish and being a little bit proud, there's a certain amount of pride, self-pride and energy in your chart, but being proud of yourself and being like, yes, I'm kicking ass is a good thing. And to want something and to really go after it is a good thing. And you show people that.
God, I love all of this. It's like, as you said, all of that, like I already said, it's like you're taking this look into my mind, my heart, my soul, my body. And as you said, all of it, I like literally feel like a wave of like almost relief and trust. And like, yes, like all of that is so true for me. And anybody who's been a part of my audience or like, this is the first episode, so many of the things that Janelle has said are things that I've spoke on or taught or am currently guiding people through. One of the ones that stood out to me is, as you talked about, like the money and the wealth. It's like, I'm a money manifestation coach. Like how freaking divine is that? That is hilarious. And the piece of the Freak to Genius is like, this podcast is one of those. Literal just download within 2 weeks. It was up and going. I remember one of my coaches being like, damn, like you talked about that 2 weeks ago. It's already here. I was like, yeah, let's go. Same with the business, same with all of these different things. And it's just so powerful to see that like truly my chart without even knowing it aligns with who I am, where I'm at, what I'm doing. And I want to encourage any of the listeners who are like, holy shit, I want to know my chart. I want to know how my chart is playing out in my life and how I can live in accordance to it and be on this experiment as well, to reach out to you and to learn more about their chart. So if anybody is wanting to get into contact with you, learn about what you do and be a part of your world, how can they find you?
I love Instagram. I'm Janelle Turner, HD on Instagram. And I like to share a lot of other people's posts because I'm not a big content creator, but that's where I connect with a lot of people. So if people have questions about human design, that's usually where I can connect really quickly. If you're interested in getting a reading, I have a website, janelleturner.net. I have several readings on my website. If you're confused or it's a lot, you just DM me or email me. We can go over all the types. I can do a call too, because I know sometimes it's good to hear people's voices. And what I've actually learned from human design is that sometimes if people need to connect by hearing them, and then they know, okay, this is the person to give me a reading, because I'm not for everybody, but I am for a lot. So that's where you can find me. I also have a podcast called Chatting Human Design. So if you want to listen to me do just that, chat about human design with people who are in their experiment, you can give me a listen to. That's where I'm at.
Amazing. Yay. Yeah. And just like I said, for anybody who is listening, who's like, yep, I vibe with this girl. I want to know more. I want to know how I can dive into this. All of those links for how you can connect with Janelle are going to be down below in the show notes. And Janelle, last question for you is, for anybody who's either starting their experiment or wanting to start their experiment, what are some words of wisdom that you can give to them?
This is a good one, because this is something I want to touch on. As I was going over Kat's chart with her, you heard her resonating with a lot of things. There's going to be stuff in your chart that you don't resonate with, that doesn't make sense to you. You're like, no, that's not me. That doesn't feel right. I beg to differ. And the reason is because we're all conditioned throughout our lives to, just like you said, to be a certain way, to do a certain thing. Our parents, our family, everyone has unique conditioning that changes your personality, that changes who you are. So to look at a map of who you are and see parts that don't resonate, that's your conditioning. Those are the places where you should look the hardest. The places that are the most uncomfortable, that's where you look, because then you'll go, oh yeah, that doesn't resonate with me. Because for instance, I have a defined throat. This is a perfect example. I have a defined throat in human design, and that did not resonate with me at all when I first learned about it, because I like to be quiet. I didn't like to be heard, but that was conditioning from my childhood, very complicated conditioning of where I thought it would be better to just be quiet. And then I learned about human design, and the podcast happened for me too. And now I can't shut up. So I've really grown into my throat, and I've really learned to embrace it and go, you know what? People do like to hear what you have to say. So it's okay to talk. So that would be my main word of wisdom with human design, is if there's pieces that don't resonate with you, or if it just feels not right, there might be some things that you need to look at more deeply. And I can definitely help with that, because I can read all those parts for you. But yeah,
I love that. It's so true. And one last thing for me on that is like, yeah, exactly. If you would have told me that chart probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I would have been like, nah, nope. None of that like truly really resonates with me, because my conditioning was so deep and so limited to what I thought was true during that time. And like diving into those different things and diving into my own inner work journey has helped me now get to the place where, without even knowing it, I feel like I am, for the most part, living in alignment with that. Yeah. So I think those are incredible words for anybody who has already started the experiment or dive into it and are like, no, I don't think so. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, that's an incredible thing to know with it. So Janelle, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. I think this is going to be so fun, first of all, for people to listen to, but also so informative. And it was great to have you on.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I am so grateful to have these no bullshit talks with you. If you enjoyed today's episode or the podcast as a whole, please spread the love by leaving me a review on iTunes or sharing the podcast with others. This is how I will be able to spread more of these good vibes and be able to make more of an impact on the lives of others. And if you're not already part of all of the goodness and communities that I have to offer, check out the show notes. I have links to the different ways that I can support you on your manifestation journey and help you live a life full of more money, fulfillment, and freedom. But that is all for now. So big love and hugs, and I will chat with you soon, babe.